Hello, everybody. My name is Dragon Guy Who Died, and I am here today with my good friend Griff.
Hey guys, I'm Griff. Griff on Discord and Slain in Lore.
Yep, and we are here today for the inaugural episode of the Legends of LOR podcast. Here we'll be focusing on a variety of things, whether it's going to be the competitive side of Legends of Runeterra, what's just going on in the community right now, some of the fun decks that are being played, tournaments, and maybe even some of the history of the game as well. So I'll start things off with going a bit about over my background here with just LOR and just games in general. So I started off in LOR when it first came out on April 28th, because I'd burned out from Magic the Gathering a little bit. This was a few years back. If anyone's played Magic, it was just during War of the Spark timing, and I was like pretty burned out from that. So I was looking for a new game to try, and I found out about Legends of Runeterra. I have been playing League for longer than I care to admit, and I was interested in a League of Legends themed card game. So I gave it a shot, and I fell in love almost immediately. And I have been playing the game ever since. Just played around with decks, didn't really try too hard, and I didn't really do anything competitive until about a few months in the middle of summer that year. And then I got to Masters for the first time that fall. And that fall was the first seasonals, which I did not compete in, but every seasonal afterwards I was able to compete in, and I hit Masters every season afterwards as well. My best run in seasonals was Guardians of the Ancient. That's where I was able to finally go 8-1 with Targon's Peak, Deep, and Thralls, and I got all the way to top 16 before 4LW knocked me out. Not salty, by the way. Anyways, but yeah, so I'm most well known in the community as the Targon's Peak guy, even though Targon's Peak has fallen off a little bit in recent times due to its unfortunate demise and death at the hands of Ikato. But
Yeah,
we are here.
Hey,
But we are here today, and yeah, I've been just playing in a bunch of the LOR tournaments, whether it's Aegis, whether it's Sentinels, and I'm excited with the new revamped competitive system to see how that's gonna turn out. Griff, you want to go over your experience now as well?
I'm Griff. I've been playing card games since I was a kid. Like the playground version of Yu-Gi-Oh! I used to collect Pokemon cards. Then recently, like I want to say around 12 to 13 years old, I got into Hearthstone. That was my first ever online card game. It was relatively good. Played it for more than like 4+ years. And that was like my main game I played. Made some friends there. Yeah, I had to leave it sooner or later because the monetization was too much. I was still a kid, so I was mostly asking my parents for money to buy car packs and everything. When I got older, I just realized that I don't want to play anymore. I couldn't afford it. And I mostly moved to TFT after when it first came out. I just played like a little bit of set one. And then after a few months later, I just realized there was a game called Legends of Runeterra. The open beta just finished, and I literally just came in. I'm still salty. I didn't get the beta pass. That's how it is. And I've been playing it ever since. And I started messing around to a few decks. I really love control decks, and then I just kept on playing. My favorite deck was like FTR, and then there was one seasonal I got to Masters with Spirit Victor. Even after that, I realized I wanted to be competitive because I used to think Masters was like, oh, if I get the Masters, that's enough for me. But then I realized I want to do like tournaments and stuff. And that's where I am right now. Legends of Runeterra, a competitive player.
Yeah, I definitely feel that. My first goal was Masters, but then once you get to Masters, you're like, all right, what's next?
Yeah, you realize that I want to do more. Because you eventually get the Masters multiple times, you're like, there should be more to do. And tournaments have been amazing.
Hmm. Yeah, for
Honestly.
sure. And it's thanks to this new revamp. Hopefully, tournaments and competitive formats will be a lot easier now for the larger player base. Now that we have the Runeterra Rumbles coming in.
Yeah, they've been amazing recently. I don't know about you, Dragon. I'm loving them much better than Gauntlets.
Oh, to be fair, Gauntlet is not the highest bar to clear, in my opinion. So because I'm just thinking back to Gauntlet. So Gauntlet was like only over the weekend. It
Mm.
was I think it was similar formats. Like you have to get like 6 wins, and then you
Around
before
6 wins.
6 wins, but you can't lose two in a row. Is the thing with
Yeah,
Gauntlet.
you
And if
can't
you
lose two in a
won,
row.
you could like win, lose, win, lose, win, lose, and then you just
And
had
they're
to
a
win
best
the
of
last
ones.
game. Some of them were best of 3, some of them were
Some of
best of
them was
1.
yeah.
It was also close deck list. Current Runeterra Rumble is also close deck list, but I I think that's fine for the time being. Just
They said
having
they'll
access,
change it.
yeah. They can change things in the future for when they start getting things more underway. But
Yeah,
for
just in
now,
case. Yeah.
yeah, for now, like the one thing is like it's every day, so being able to play every day for the best of 3 format has been really nice. Because I've been testing a few different lineups I've been wanting to try out.
That's fine.
I have been trying to bully the broad main players out of the game is what my lineup ideas have been. So I've tried a bunch of different things the last few days, but I've had a 2 deck core of Rise Ionia and Trundle Lysandra Control, which is SI Freljord,
TLC.
old deck. I'm not sure if people are. It's not as good as it once was. The Watcher doesn't obliterate their entire deck anymore, but it's still pretty decent. And with a lot of decks right now just taking a long time to kill you, like Nora decks don't really kill you that quickly, and their boards mostly die to Blighted Ravines and Avalanche. So what
Yeah.
you can do is you can just keep wiping their board, get your Watcher to 0 mana, play your Watcher, and obliterate their deck, and then they die because they get decked.
My hot take for this one is that I think the broad main thing is all cope. I believe that it's just a mostly an attrition gameplay. There is no win con. I tried the Nora list with just 3 times broad main. I do not know how you win. It was miserable.
I mean, decking people out is a win condition, but
I hated it.
I will
Mm.
agree that the broad main piles some of the broad main piles really do struggle to actually close out the game. I think this is especially true for the Bandle version and the non PNZ version. I think the PNZ version is the best, whether it's like playing Katarina or playing Ezreal, because
The
those
thing about the
champions will end the game.
Yes. The thing about the PNZ version is that, like, other than Broadmain, for me, my list, I've run to play Annie Cat, run 2 times Broadmain, cut it from 3, and I'm putting in Tibbles because I think to end the game most of the time we ended with spells to face and with Tibble with overwhelm, and everybody has busted up attack power instead of
Yeah,
just
yeah.
depending on Broadmain to end your games, which most of the time he won't really end your games. He's just gonna try and deck you out, and that's when I just recently watched the Twitch stream, Majin Bay playing it. He was playing Nora Nar against BBG's Seraphine, Battle Seraphine, and he lost. Because Battle Seraphine outvalues.
Mm. Yeah,
If a deck outvalues, then
I think the biggest issue with the deck is while it's very good at controlling the board, it doesn't really have a burn way to burn the opponent out, because like
mm,
your burn is like pokey sticks, maybe Death's Hand if you're on Death's Hand. And if
no
they
one in
can
that
just
hand.
like
It's
in
focus
like the mirror, because the mirror is also really good at clearing your board. It can be you can also get in states that stall out where like neither player can get through on board, so you're kind of stuck just like trying to get like 1 or 2 units through, and then just trying to not deck yourself before your opponent decks themselves.
Yeah. In the end, like if you face a deck that has the most value as you, they have an actual win con like with Seraphine or Ezreal, they'll just beat
Mm,
you because they actually they can keep up with your units and they can keep up with it, but they have a win con. You don't.
mm.
The
Yeah,
whole point of the deck is to like face decks that can't create so much value. Like surprisingly, FTR can't actually beat Nora and R that easily. I've been playing it all day on ladder, so that's my deck, and FTR struggles against it
I
because
can imagine, because Broadmain does messed up things
it does mess up a
to
lot.
going
It,
to,
it's not.
it's like because like Broadmain's designed to beat the tall units, and to
Mhm.
play FTR you do have to tap out. Granted, she who wins probably makes that matchup a lot harder for Nora.
No, I would think so. But the thing about it is that their deck is like 90% spells. It's not that play Shield Wonders. Their units aren't even in hand. It's just spells. And they don't even need their units in hand because they can just do Portal Palooza stuff and then kill off my Shield Wonders super easily. Because they have disintegrates and everything. It's crazy hard to beat. And also don't
That's
forget that they have signposts. FTR is not FTR or Bird and Ice is not as easy as it is to cast.
That's true. Bandle deny. Do be denying,
Mm,
indeed. But yeah, going back to the topic of Runeterra Rumbles, I have been enjoying them. I have played every Runeterra Rumble so far. For
everyone,
the
that's
for the
insane.
I've played every one. I've gotten 6 wins in all of them, except for one of them where I got 5 wins instead and then I lost, and that was kind of sad because I think I was playing Anivia in that one. So my
You
games
deserved
took
it.
a long time. I think it legitimately took me 2.5 hours for the first one. I've gotten my time down to like 2 hours, to like 2 hours, hour and a half now with my decks. Although
Yeah, mine's.
it turns out playing 3 slower decks means you play it a little bit longer than you usually do instead of playing 3 aggro decks.
Imagine me playing control. Yeah, the games last forever. At least maybe like 2 hours, maybe.
Yeah.
But I have a blast doing it. I wouldn't change for anything else. It's still better than Gauntlet to me. And it's
I mean,
also people don't realize that having an option other than ladder has been such an amazing for the game.
for sure. Like I would not be playing the game as much as I am right now if it wasn't for this because
Yeah.
I just don't find ladder as enjoyable. And also
Mm,
another thing here is if I want to not play against the deck or I don't want to play against a certain specific matchup for my lineup I'm building, I can disband it. I don't have to play against it. For
yeah.
example, I kind of don't want to play the Rise Mirror right now, so I can just ban the Rise Mirror. Whereas on
Exactly.
ladder, I'm forced to sit through that.
It fixes all those like annoying metas that we might maybe that we'll eventually have. Let's say you don't want to face this deck. You don't like this meta. So you go into the rumble and you just ban it and you just play what you want to play. I
Yeah,
feel like that's freaking amazing.
a
Because
hundred
that's
percent.
like Rumble. I think Rumble was their answer to the one deck ban ladder format people were suggesting.
Hmm.
Because people were suggesting that you go into ladder and you ban one deck, and I was thinking that would be a good idea. Maybe but that would increase queue times and stuff like that. So maybe it wasn't a good idea. And then they thought of daily rumbles, which is like, you don't like what the ladder meta is like. Go to daily rumbles. You can get that competitive itch and get some free trophies and rewards that will also get better over time because it's just the
Yeah,
beta season. So I
yeah,
think daily rumbles was yeah. People don't understand. People haven't been talking about it. That like when we get into bad metas, daily rumbles are going to be like a lifesaver.
for sure.
Yeah.
You also get to like practice the competitive format right now, which is
Mm-hmm.
best of three.
It's a
Because
win-win.
usually it's a lot harder to practice best of three if you're not in like a scrimp group or you don't have a group of friends to do it with. Like if you're
Oh yeah.
just like if you're like a solo player who doesn't really hang around in like a Discord, if you don't really play with other people, it's hard. It can be harder to find a scrim group or like people to scrim with and test your lineup and like get
Mm-hmm.
some reps in that you want with it. Whereas with this
Mm-hmm.
best of three format, it's a lot easier to find 3 decks, test them out, and go from there. And you can also start testing sooner. Like the Runeterra Open is going to be this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And usually I wouldn't even think about a lineup for the Runeterra Open until like a few days before. And I probably wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
test my lineup or play it at all. But
Mm-hmm.
now, because of the Runeterra Rumbles, I've been testing out different lineups the last week, and I've been able to get reps on them and figure out which deck I want to go with in the end.
Exactly. You remember past seasons, man. We would get the lineup like days before, just days before. We would think like, oh, where's our lineup? Where's our third deck?
Hey, don't worry,
Because we
man.
had
That will
no,
not that will not stop us from still going the day
procrastinating
before.
and
Flop,
changing it up.
yeah, just like saying, you know what? I'm flipping it. I'm switching this one deck at the last minute, and surely this will end well before I go 0-2 and out.
The reason why is because like daily rumbles, because first of all, we're not like compared. We're like average players. We're not like the Majin Bays or the Akados who do this as their job. Me and
Yeah.
you, we both have a. For me, it's college and my own job. You have a job too, and it's not really your job to play lore.
Yep.
This is a hobby for us.
Yeah, for sure.
So we're not. So most of my friends had to do it as a hobby. So I can't always hit them up for scrims because they got other stuff going on. And that's where
Hmm.
daily rumbles come in when I can't do those scrims. I can
Yeah,
just
for
go into
sure.
daily rumbles
It's
instead.
like, yeah, it's a lot easier to just hop into a Runeterra Rumble and go against the best of three lineup than it can be like try and find some friends because your friends also might be busy. Another thing is that like
Yeah.
you get to play against a lot more different decks than you would. Of course, one thing to consider is you're not guaranteed to face There is a lot of variance with Runeterra Rumbles right now. With the
Currently,
players you
yes.
face against. I like you don't always play against people at your skill level. Like for
Mm-hmm.
example, right now I'm ranked about Diamond 2. So people I'm
Mm-hmm.
playing against aren't always like also ranked Diamond 2 or Diamond. They
Yeah.
could be ranked lower, they could be ranked higher. But
Mm-hmm.
so it's a bit more variance there. I will say, in terms of names I recognize and like people I would consider to be other good players, I have seen a lot more of them playing Runeterra Rumbles than I ever saw in Gauntlet. Granted, I also
Mm-hmm.
didn't play that much Gauntlet myself because Gauntlet like was just not that competitive. Gauntlet had a lot less competitive players in it,
Yeah, because I have no break.
except for during Last Chance Gauntlet, because that was when there were stakes. Because
Yes.
another thing we haven't mentioned yet for Runeterra Rumbles is that there are actual stakes involved with Runeterra Rumbles
Mm-hmm.
because
Yes.
you get the rewards track and
Also,
for the Rumbles don't give that much on their own. It's at most 10 per thing. But they add
mm-hmm.
up over time, and if you're like playing all the Rumbles, you're probably going to be able to finish the pass. Although the
Mm-hmm.
Runeterra Open that's going on this weekend is offering up to 100 if you manage to get 8
That one is
wins.
crazy. I'm really gonna grind it out. I really want to try my best on that one.
Yeah,
That one is
just
insane.
just just don't just don't match into Maj in round 1 and you're fine.
Oh my god, I don't want. So
Just
I was talking about like name people. I feel like in the community, there's not a lot of people that. But I saw even most tweet one day about like, oh, he doesn't see that much name people in the daily rumbles, like
yeah.
the search term. I feel like for me, when like, we both do ladder, there are some people that are not like content creators. They are
Mhm.
extremely good lore players. I think for one, I've been seeing his name. I don't know if you know him. If you've seen him on ladder, Shinobu.
I have not. I've probably played against them. I don't remember them.
He's in. Yeah. Do you have anybody like that? Like they're not content creators. Just like regular people you normally see on ladder all the time, and they're incredibly good. They always give you like good
Oh,
games.
for sure.
Like,
I've seen quite a
hmm?
few of them. I've seen quite a few of them for sure. Like I saw Rusticles round 1 yesterday. He's
Oh, Rustic. I heard about.
yeah. It's
Mm-hmm.
like because another thing is that like since I play like you recognize people from like Aegis and from just like playing
Yes,
Masters Ladder.
Aegis
You're like
too, right?
yeah.
Owens is another one.
I think the funniest one I saw was MTux. So we ran into each other yesterday, and
Oh
we were
no.
both. So what happened was it was round 5 for me, and I was 5-0,
Oh
and I
no.
ran into MTux, and we both
Mm-hmm.
had like a very similar lineup, and we would have had to play the Bandle SI mirror, and like MTux added me saying, please don't make me do this," and I'm like, you know what, you got it, fam, and I just FF'd the game, so we didn't have to worry about it.
The
And
battle.
then
Really.
but it's all good because I won my next game. And by next game,
Yeah,
I mean I
that's
lost
good.
the next game, and then I won the game after that.
Yeah. It's been yeah. Currently, Laura has been super fun. More things to do. I don't have to burn myself out on ladder like I normally do every season.
Oh my god, dude!
That's
I
fucking.
not having to play ladder feels great. Like,
It's
sure,
just
I'm not
people don't.
masters right now, but I don't feel like
It
pressure to
doesn't
do
matter.
it.
Yeah, thank you. It doesn't feel the pressure. Like I'm not even masters too. I would normally I'll be stressed out about it, but like I don't care. There's no more seasonals. The Runeterra Opens. It's free for everybody. The tournament aspect is free. I'm like, what am I worrying about masters? What am I worrying about masters for these days? I mean, I'll still do it because I like to see the LP number go up.
Yeah, I mean I like that a lot. That I think Riot's fix to the system has been great in terms of the ladder grind because now ladder is not as important as it was. Because before with ladder determined whether or not you qualified for seasonal and also
Yeah,
whether you
that was
got
stressful.
7-2 seeding for seasonal.
It was too
Now
much.
that Runeterra opens are kind of getting rid of that and kind of tying the reward track
Hmm.
for the buys into the reward track. So instead of having to play through instead of having to go through and like grind on ladder to 7-2 seeding, you can instead grind for the Runeterra Rumbles and Runeterra
Hmm.
Opens and try to get 7-2 seeding that way. And I think
Hmm.
that's much better than the
In my
previous system.
like the
Plus
only
it means I
downside. Sorry, continue.
yeah. Another thing's like it leaves a lot less stress on ladder because
Hmm.
like with ladder before, I've been stressed a little bit with like ladder anxiety for okay,
Me too.
if I lose this game, I have to win like 2 games to make up for it. And if I
Yeah.
lose this game, it'll take me like a while to get back up. And like
Mhm.
it could cause me to, it could hurt my chances for qualifying for seasonals, for example, because I could be
Mhm.
I could be safe right now, and I could try to climb, but if I lose the game, then I could go below the number I need to make sure I'm qualified. So it leads to me
Yeah.
not wanting to play on ladder. And hey, if I'm in a situation where I don't want to play on ladder, now I have
Mhm.
another way to play the game. Because before, if you weren't playing ladder, all you could do was play norms, and
Well,
norms
no,
is
no way.
not the
I don't
best
like.
place to get experience for competitive play. Although I will
Oh,
say it is the best place to get blown out by piles of cards you never thought you'd see in the game.
I
I
can.
have
Yeah,
lost to some very interesting piles of cards, I will
I
say.
can. Yeah, I can't do norms, man. Yeah, ever since norms have always been extremely boring for me. It was ranked gameplay for me. For me, I want to talk about like the titles. That's the only downside to it. I know it's only beta, so they're gonna most likely fix it. But but it's just right now like a name, and it's not even edited right, and the badges are too small.
Hey man, just because contender kind of crops in with your over your name a little bit sometimes, and the badge is something I definitely missed the first time I played. It's all good. Besides, you know what? I think I'm perfectly fine giving them the benefit of the doubt here because this is the beta season. There will be changes. Like
Hmm.
for example, the Runeterra Rumbles right now. One thing I don't think we've really talked enough about is just how long they are at 6 wins, 3 losses.
Oh, 2 hours.
Like it just
At least
takes,
two
like I
hours.
said before, it was taking me like 2.5 hours to do it before. And that is a very big investment, and definitely not everyone can do that. Fortunately, I have been
Good
able to do that recently, but I would not want to continue doing that for the foreseeable
for
future.
sure.
Which is why I'm glad Ruben did confirm on Twitter that they are going to be
They're
switching
gonna
that to
change it.
4 and 2 for doing it in the future. And I'm glad for that. So unfortunately, they couldn't implement it already, but I can understand that there were some technical difficulties because the patch got pushed back a week, and
Yeah,
that messed up a lot
that
of the timelines. We
that
didn't get
hack
to
ruined
play.
it. Yeah.
We didn't get to play unlimited champs mode for more than a day. I only got to play Bandle Tree once, and I went 6 and 2 with that. By the way, I played Jack's Bandle Tree with like 5 different Bandle champs, and I won.
I'm so happy that like he talked about it. 'Cause yes, even though Love It is a time sink, and he said they're gonna change the time a little. Maybe we'll start a little bit earlier, and maybe we'll do like less. Maybe it'll be like down to 4 wins this time instead of 6 wins. And I think it's
Mhm,
much more appreciated because people. That's the one major complaint that it
mhm.
is too long. It is way too long. I'll still do it every day, but it's long. Not like I said.
Yeah, I'll still do it every day if I have time, but it'll be nice to know that that time won't be like 2 hours. It'll be a lot shorter. Unless, unless I want to play Infinite for some reason and want to do that to
Unless you're
myself.
playing Rise, I mean, if you're like me playing Control decks all day, my time might still be the same.
Bro, dude, Rise ends the game pretty fast actually. Like, it's not like
And
playing, dude, Rise ends the game faster than Nora decks do, all right? Nora decks can like
yeah, agreed,
kill your entire
agreed.
board, and they just have like 3-2, like a Nora, a 2-2, and a 3-5 in play, and it's like, all right, cool, dude. You have to
I
like
have
kill
a
your
yeah.
like 3 attacks. So good luck.
You're so right because I really do not. Ignore decks take forever to win. Same with the Monastrimo whenever it happens. I agree.
Hey, and
So
I would not agree with that. Mono Shurima kills you pretty quickly after they flip the disc.
I
You
mean the
have
movie
like
takes
two
forever.
turns. Yeah, it's just like it just feels longer because you get to have the Shurima car salesman experience as they try to sell you on why your Nexus needs to explode this turn.
Interesting, yeah. Well, is that all we're going to talk about today, or is there anything else we're going to talk about Dragon?
It's been a very fun time here. I had a good time, but yeah, I think I'm fine letting this one be a little bit shorter than what might be happening in the future because I just want to get an episode out there, get it under my belt, get it
Hmm.
out there to the world, and
At least next week we can talk about Runeterra opening process, how we went through with it, and how our games went.
yeah, I can talk about
Um,
how I can talk about how I lost to Conch on Evelyn round one. That'll be a
oh yeah,
great experience.
I don't want to face Kosh, man. That man's on a mission right now. He's
Oh yeah,
I'm
you
not
know what?
gonna.
I do want to talk about that real quick, actually. So, for those who don't know, there was a big Aegis tournament this last weekend, and I think it was either 4 or 5 of the top players had Broadmain piles in their
I
lineup,
know.
and no one in finals had Broadmain piles because finals was Conch versus Sari, and Conch wound up taking the win on Evelyn, TLC,
And
and
auction league.
Akshan Lee Sin, which is
Jesus, man
you
was
know, dude. Imagine saying Lee Sin won a tournament in 2023.
but
Crazy
imagine,
times.
don't forget he was about to take a break from lore. He was this close. And then he comes to win an Aegis tourney. I'm like,
And
what?
I mean, hey man, he had to go in and bully the broad main players, and I
And
appreciate
now
him for doing it.
he's coming to open. Oh Lord. Well, hope you face the dragon. Take one for the team.
Hey, you know what, Griff? I was gonna tell you that actually. You're allowed to lose to Conch instead.
No? All right.
And
Well,
just for some extra context, Conch is our former teammate with Targon's Valley in the Aegis.
yeah, he's our former
So
teammate.
yeah, so we're hoping to be with him next season, but Aegis is in between seasons right now, so we'll have to see if
Yeah.
that's gonna pick back up. Especially now that all the new competitive changes, there'll be a lot more opportunities to play best of
Oh,
three,
much
just
more
play in
easier. Much
tournaments.
grassroots tournament and Runeterra points.
Yeah, dude,
We'll
like
talk
we'd
about
have
it
to.
next week.
Yeah, like we have a Runeterra Open coming up, and usually we'd have to be like waiting 6 more weeks for seasonals, and also a balance patch. Like we actually
Yep.
get to play a big tournament on this balance patch, which is like something we don't usually have the opportunity to
This
do.
is
Because usually,
insane. I
you
never
know,
thought about that. We don't have to wait 6 weeks. Okay.
yeah. Because another thing is like almost every time there's like the big seasonal tournament, it's always going to be on the patch after there's been a balance patch
Mhm.
in case like for the release. But this time,
Mhm.
but now we're gonna get one every month, which I assume means that we're gonna get it before the balance patches would happen.
If I remember correctly, it's 2 weeks after each patch. That we
Yes,
get
I
a regular
believe
tournament.
that is correct, and I
Regular
think
tournaments.
that is great because it
That's
gives enough
amazing.
time for people to learn the format and try to figure out what's good, but hopefully not too long where you're starting to feel sick of the cards and seeing the same
Yeah.
deck every time.
Ruben said he didn't want to be too fixed. And
Yeah.
I agree with that. Let there
And
be like
also,
variety.
it gives them enough time that if something is a huge outlier, they have the opportunity to hotfix it because they have
That's
shown
true.
in recent times they are willing to hotfix. Like when
Twice.
they only hotfixed twice because winter break meant that they weren't putting out a regular patch.
Yeah.
So they like because they didn't have a balance patch, they were to do the second hotfix, whereas the second hotfix was probably just a balance patch if it wasn't for that. But I really do
Mhm.
appreciate that they were willing to hotfix these changes in.
Yeah, I agree with
And
that. I agree.
because I think if they didn't do that, like imagine having to deal with acolytes for the last 2 months, you know?
Oh, thank God they didn't do that.
Yeah, dude. The FTR, believe it or not, the FTR player is glad he didn't have to play against the deck that kind of slams FTR over and over again.
Hey, that's how I love my gameplay. All right, well, that should be it for today.
Yeah, I think so. I think this is a good place to stop. We got over the Runeterra Rumbles, and we're gonna be back next week with more things to talk about. So stay tuned, everyone, and thank you all for listening. I hope to be able to do this more regularly and provide more competitive content and more things about Legends of Runeterra to get out there in the community. So
Yeah.
thank you again for listening, everyone, and we will see you all later.